Awesome. Well, thanks for joining the session.
It's good practice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have another human on the other side of this digital world. What brings you to the session today? Do you mind if we just kind of chit chat for a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, let me just bring up the description. So I just had made a schedule of ones that were interesting. Yeah, and marketing is not my skill set. So anything I can kind of learn about that. And I think I was interested in the pipeline phrase and how to build pipelines.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. So you said marketing is not your forte. Is there something that is your forte?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, at least somewhat. So I'm doing a session on Thursday. I have a business called Scaling Within, and I work with founders and CEOs on their internal journey. So my background is as a therapist. And so I have a new program called the Waymaker program. And it's kind of like an online live course and community. And so I'm good at what I do, but I'm brand new to how do you actually translate that and kind of marketing and just in the beginning stages of the online world in terms of how do you build up funnels and pipelines. So
I love it. This is awesome. That sounds really cool. I love the therapy angle too. I'm always fascinated with that. My wife did a lot of therapy stuff, so I learned a lot through her education. Yeah, so I'll get started here. Does anyone else want to join the video thing? I know this is probably a little weird, but I thought I would offer it out. We can. Otherwise, I can let Meredith go, and I'll be pretty heavy on the chat side of things. So. All right, no takers on joining our FaceTime thing. So, Meredith, thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself. And I'm going to move over to chat, and then we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, are you able to take me off, or should I figure that from my...
I can remove you, I think. Boom. There you go. So, bye. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. So, cool. Back into the void. Yep, I'm in my COVID space tube here in my workshop. Thanks for everyone joining. I'm gonna try to get some. Normally, I do these things as workshops, right? So they're usually pretty dynamic. So I'm gonna try to work on the chat side of things. So let's give that a try right now. If everyone can kind of loosen up your fingers, and what I want you to do. So I'm gonna say, all right, are we ready to get started? And I want you to type yes, but don't hit enter yet. So hit yes, exclamation point, absolutely, some sort of phrase. I'm going to count down, and then you hit enter, and that should all go into the chat. So I know you're awake and that you're there. So are we all ready to get started? So 3, type your thing, 2, 1, yes. There you go. Hey, all right. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Emily and Anders. Everybody love it. All right. Thanks. That helps me stay motivated while I'm just kind of shouting at my computer here. Also, let me know if volume or if I go too fast. If you have any questions, just hit them in chat, and I'll see them, and I'll kind of address them as they come along. So, all right. So first thing, so who am I, and what is Modern Logic? So my name is Brian, and I'm the entrepreneur in residence at Modern Logic, which means I have a really awesome job where I get to kind of run our internal projects and go out and find other interesting projects that we want to work on. In particular, I focus on research commercialization. So I like working with the university and scientists to identify cool, interesting digital tech, and then working to get that out of the university and into the world where it can have a positive impact. I've worked on things and have patents related to renewable energy, local food, medical device, and digital health. And digital health is my main thing right now. Modern Logic is a digital product studio. We're a group of experts, really, really good at building awesome stuff. Our pedigrees are at Apple, Google, Microsoft, Adobe. Most of our team, senior developers that came from Adobe. So we really like building really good stuff, but we also love startups. We've all kind of had our own projects or our own startups, and we really like to see things be successful and get out into the world. So our whole consultancy shop is around building really good products for all stages, for enterprise, small, medium-sized businesses, as well as startups. My personal interest is on kind of the startup side of things. And how we generally look at things is with this framework of spark, fit, and scale. So spark is when you have this early stage idea. Fit is where you're really trying to work that idea in the world, validate that you have a market, get some sales, validate that you have a viable business. And then scale is where, things you've proven that it works, you can really start to take off. What's pretty cool is that the methodology for each one of these stages is very similar. It's just you kind of emphasize different things. So how that works is we frame it as this discovery, development, analytics. If you're familiar with lean startup methodology, they have a very similar circle. But with our focus, we do this discovery phase. This is really about understanding the problem, coming up with a reasonable plan, doing voice of customer, design work. And once you have that, then going to development. And really the core with development is making sure that you're building exactly what you want to build at the right time, because development is by far the most expensive part of this cycle. And so you just want to be really laser focused on what it is that you're building, and so that you can build it and then you can get data on it. And that's really where the analytics comes in. This is where digital marketing and experimental design is really important. And then with that data and information, you can then go back to your discovery side of things, do more design, tweak your business model again, and then run more, do more development. And in a nutshell, that's really all growth hacking and growth marketing. All of that is kind of encompassed in this umbrella, which is run experiments, analyze the data, and then run another experiment, and then analyze the data. And so you're just kind of doing that repeatedly. But we found there's some really good tools that can really help facilitate that. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is the ICE metrics and the idea pipeline is some tools that we use all the time as we're going sort of around this circle. Cool. Thanks. Thanks, Meredith. So today's session, we're talking about intro to growth hacking. And again, running experiments is really the focus of growth hacking. I'm a scientist by background, so I really appreciate the experimental design side of it. But a big component of that is that as an entrepreneur, you just have like 1,000 things that you should be doing, right? And things that you should be paying attention to. And it's really hard to stay on top of what is the most important thing that I should be working on right now. And that's where we get into these idea pipeline side of things. So how I thought that this would be fun as a workshop was, well, what if we just actually did it, right? So last week I had an idea for an app, and I thought, well, why don't we just take this through this process, and then I can share with you as part of this workshop and sort of show you how it goes. So yeah, does that sound like a good idea? You can give me a little yes if you think let's build an app. So cool. Thanks, John. Thanks, Emily. All right, let's do it. Let's build something here. So first thing is, you want to look at what the problem is, what your solution is. That's pretty obvious. Most people can get started there. Then you want to set your goals. And I always want to look at like 3 years out as a far goal, and then a 1 to 6 month goal. Then with those goals, you can build a customer journey. And really with every product that you're trying to build, you're trying to take a customer who has a problem, and then you're trying to walk them through a step-by-step process through your solution to solve their problem. And then at the end of interacting with your product, they should be changed for the better, right? Their problem should be solved. And so I always kind of find myself returning to that customer journey over and over again because it's just so valuable. Because really, how do you invoke that change that you're looking for? Then with that idea pipeline, this is a good place to hang all of your ideas that are in your head, right? So you can get them up on the idea pipeline, and you don't have to be very organized about it, but that helps stimulate the ideas. And then we'll stick those into a more organized system of the idea pipeline, which is just a list of all those ideas. And then we use ICE, which is impact, confidence, and ease, in order to actually rank and help prioritize those. All right. So this is the plan for the session. And we got like 35 minutes or so. So I'm going to start kicking it off. But any questions? Oh, ICE, yeah. And we'll get into it in a lot more detail. So that's impact, confidence, and ease. All right. Oh, can I make the slides full screen? Does it help if I zoom in a little bit? A little. I'm using this this program called Miro, which is kind of fun. It's sort of the closest thing I've been able to find to a whiteboard, but we'll give a shout if it's terrible. Oh, there you go. Cool. All right. So I'll go on to the idea here. So the idea I had was some people may know that today is the first day of school, and whatever that means in the COVID world of things. So what I've actually done, I have a daughter who's 4, and we have a neighbor they have 4 girls, 2 twin 9-year-olds, a 5-year-old, and a newborn. And what we've decided to do is create a social bubble. So our daughter can go and play with their girls can come over here, and we can help with some of the parental burden. And so we're going to have this social bubble. But then you want to be aware of more of your interactions, like what's your COVID risk around this. So so the idea was, can we build something that would help for me and for others to manage their social bubbles, or their social bubble. So that makes it really easy to get started. What's the problem? How can we make it easy to track the risk of our social bubble? The solution is, let's do an app that makes it easy to see your past and future interactions, so you can control you get a better sense of what's going on with your social bubble. All right, and the goals for this are also kind of interesting, right? The 3-year goal is, we don't want this to exist. We want vaccines. We don't want COVID to be around. But the 1-month goal is interesting because there's lots of COVID apps out there. I'm sure you've seen a lot of a lot of the ones that are out there, but they don't really do a lot for the user. It's just like, hey, share your symptoms with a bunch of researchers. And so really what I want is, if this were to be helpful to people, is we want to see the viral coefficient of the app be greater than 1, right? So we want to spread naturally because people find it useful. And if, in a month, if people just don't really share it, or it's not really that interesting, cool, it can kill it, and I can move on to the next project. Any questions about that? Just about kind of the idea itself? And I think Ben was saying you can maybe click on, if you can zoom around it all a little bit. So, all right. So the idea is this social bubble app. So how do we actually get started, right? So I have this social bubble idea. I have all these kind of ideas floating around in my head about what this might actually look like. But in order to kind of get control over my brain, how should I do that? And the first thing I do is I start with a customer journey, and then a really simple framework where it's like, you have your actors. These are the people that are involved, your customers. Maybe it's B2B, maybe it's B2C. How do people find the product? How do they discover it? How do they learn about it? They probably read your website or a blog post or something. And then they're actually going to use it, and they have to go through a process of engaging with the product to get to the final goal, right? And this is just a simple framework to get started. You can have whatever. You could have this be the marketing metrics, like acquisition, retention, etc. Let's start with a goal. So, excuse me, what do people think would be, in the chat, what do you think would be a good goal for us to have here? And hint, we may have already said it previously. All right, type your goal. Eradicating COVID, I like it. Users, yep. Let's do, we want people to share the app. There you go. That was kind of our 1-month goal. to find the app naturally. That would be a good goal. Yeah, I like it. And then for actors, so the first thing I always do is I always go back to our goal, right? And we already kind of did it right here. 1 month goal to have people share the app naturally. So yep, to find the app naturally. I like it. So that's our goal. And then our actors are, this is really simple. This is customers. Maybe we'll start there. But I like to think, and there's some design thinking behind this. I like to think about people. So Becky is our neighbor. She's with the 4 girls. So if I can get Becky to be like, wow, this is really helpful, and then she shares it, it's like, oh, cool, that'd be a good win. So I'm going to start with Becky. And then let's talk about the discovery section. So how do people discover new products and things? And I want you to generate a bunch of ideas in the chat. So everyone write an idea down in the chat box around how people discover things. Example would be like Facebook ads, right? Cool. Social media, all right. What else do we got? Word of mouth, I like that, word of mouth. Social media, and I'll start jotting them down. So we're gonna build this together. Word of mouth, mouth of mouth, word of mouth, social media, shares. All right, what else do we got? Mailing lists, I saw that one. All right, direct invites that exist. Yeah, I like that, direct invite. That's really what we're going for, direct invites. We want people from users. So we want like SMS or email. Yeah, because if we want to share it, like what's the most impactful share that you got? Usually it's like somebody sending you a text that you know. Kids, teachers. Yeah, we also got some doctors, regular media. Let's do that. I'll throw in like TV, news, TV/news app. All right. I think that's pretty good. And then how about learning? What do we got? Thanks everybody for all these great ideas. You can see how quickly you can just generate a bunch of stuff. So how do people learn about it? Where do they get more information? And I'll throw an easy one on there too, website. Any other places people can learn about it? Instagram, yeah. The app itself, ooh, a good call. I like that. Basically, every app out there has an onboarding process, right? That's really where, and I actually just looked at an app for parents, and I just downloaded like 12 apps and then went through their onboarding process to see which ones actually worked for me. And YouTube, cool. But yeah, you could have like videos explaining what it is. I like it. All right, and then just kind of show you how this works. And then for using it, right? So they go through onboarding. Then she probably would want to do a personal exposure survey of some sort. Survey. So this is just, have you been exposed to COVID, right? And then you'd want to have, she'd want to be able to create the bubble, right? So she creates her personal risk, does she have COVID right now? And then, okay, cool, I'm going to create my bubble. And then probably, let's say we have like a new interaction. Like you got somebody who has to come do work on your furnace or something. So it's going to be a new interaction. Or maybe you want to stop by and see grandpa or something. So I kind of brainstormed all these. Thanks again for all the great contributions. So you just kind of brainstorm all these possible customer journeys. I like to keep it really simple at first, right? We don't need to get super detailed, especially on the first pass. Sometimes it's great to drill in on like one of these and do like the onboarding. You could do a really specific customer journey through the onboarding and ignore all this other stuff. But since I'm talking about a new project, we'll just do a really quick high level. And really, I wouldn't spend more. You can spend 15 minutes to an hour on these customer journeys. So they're not going to be right. They're going to change over time. So just don't kill yourself trying to get the customer journey. But let's see. So Becky, she gets a word of mouth or maybe like a direct invite, and that sends them to maybe the website. and then they download it. Maybe we'd have like an app store somewhere in here, download, and then she does her personal survey, and then she creates the bubble. In order to create the bubble, it'd be a great time to share the app, to invite friends, right? And then similar, if they have a new interaction, that'd be another great time to share the app. Okay, well, let's try that. Okay, and next, oops, there we go, skipped ahead. So this is the one that I actually did come up with. Again, it took me about 45 minutes to do this and just kind of clean it up and think through it about a little more, but to save us some time. But you can see that under the Discover, everyone here really nailed the discovery stuff, right? There's basically web search, blogs, from friends, news articles. And the nice thing is that with discovery, a lot of this you can just copy paste, right, from the last from your last project. So a little more details about this one, just as I kind of thought about this one a little bit more in detail. Really, the path that I'm interested in is, yeah, can Becky share it easily via text or email, and then maybe explain it to a friend. And you could go to the website, download from the App Store, and get to the onboarding phase. But there is this other route, which is really nice. There's a prototyping software called App Sheets, where you can basically create an app, a prototype, using Google Spreadsheets as your backend. And it works better than like a clickable prototype, because clickable prototypes are nice for design, but there's a lot of stuff like sharing, would you actually share this, that you're not going to be able to really answer with just a clickable prototype. So having something, even if it's really ugly and really coarse, if you can test that core thing that you're trying to test, right, which is sharing it, the App Sheets would allow us to do that. And then we don't have to deal with Google and Apple and building a whole app that can be expensive. So whatever is kind of the shortest route to testing this. And then for the use, similar, we complete the personal survey, they create the bubble, they interact with a new person, they plan to interact with a new person. And then finally, they share with others. So there we go. Any comments, questions over in chat about this, making your customer journey? Again, it doesn't have to be very complex. This is about just getting kind of the basic structure of what we're talking about down. Helpful visual. Yeah, I find it super, super helpful. And I do this, you can maybe see behind me, is actually the original one I did this with, and then I kind of cleaned it up with Miro. All right, well then next what I'd like to do is, this again is kind of like the skeleton that we can now hang all of our ideas on, right? Because I have like 1,000 ideas on what this app should be and how we'd market it and all these things. But right now it's all just kind of jumbled in my brain. Humans are not good at keeping more than 7 things in their mind, and you can kind of categorize stuff to keep, the more detailed stuff in there. But really you want to get it all out of your brain and onto some structure that you can actually prioritize. So going through the customer journey, I think, is really helpful. So here is an example of, and how I do this is I make little sticky notes, right? And then I phrase these as tasks or things to do. Maybe it's a feature, like create a way to share with through SMS, right? So let's see. Ben says, what do you do when another idea emerges from the jumble in your brain, or customers are partway through validating the process on this chart? Great question. Depends how out there it is, right? If it's a whole different customer journey, then maybe then you set that aside and then you come and explore that as its own customer journey. But now is a good time to just kind of dump things in here, right? So if it's related to the customer journey, now is a good time to kind of phrase it as like a task. So maybe I want to explore something. So looking at, we'll do a little chat generated crowdsourced answers here. So under the Discover section, I'm going to get that out of your way, we have all these different things. Could you type in chat a couple ideas, some tasks or things to do around this discovery? So for example, if I want to get it shared on Facebook or do paid ads on Facebook, that would be run a Facebook campaign. All right, so I'll give you 10 seconds. And then everyone trying to type something. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. Write an article. Nice. And test users and street marketing and contact local news outlets. I like what you're thinking. Make a list of people to message, direct outreach. Yeah. All right. So contact, I'm going to throw a couple of these on here. Contact local news outlet. That's a good one. Let's see. What other ones do we got here? Street marketing. That's pretty good. So you can just kind of throw street marketing. Cool. And maybe another one. Create a website. There we go. That we need a website. This is a great to do over here. Create website. All right. And we had some user testing. I like that. That's, if we find, she explains it to a friend. We probably would want to like share this with friends, right? So interview friends and family. All right. And then how about in this kind of learn section, any ideas that kind of come up from here? Download from the App Store. This would probably be hire developers, right? I'll give you that one. All right, I'll give you another 10 seconds and then everyone flood the chat. So 10, 9, on things related to learn. So either this app sheets, onboarding screens, etc. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Write copy. I like it. Hire a designer. I'm going to do that one too. Hire designer. Hire designer. Like it. What else we got? Write copy for, especially for the onboarding screens. Write copy. That's really hard for onboarding screens. Okay. Concept art, right? Sketch it out. All right. Sketch it out. Prioritize epics, user stories. Yeah, get everything into user stories. Like, get your actual project management going. I like it. Okay, and then we'll do just a couple ideas around this, around creating the app. So this is where, so Ben, to your earlier question, features tend to kind of come out here. So if I were to have, a feature to, when I can think, reoccurring. So feature where recurring users stay in the app. So that would be like if, Becky and I we're in our social bubble, so I wouldn't want to have to add her every single day and fill out a survey for her every day. So we just want to have that recurring. And Ben, to your earlier point of what happens if you have like a big crazy idea? Sometimes it's just, lots of times that's a feature idea, and then it turns out it doesn't fit into this app, but maybe that's a whole nother idea and a whole nother user journey. So in a couple hours, you could, flush that one out as well. And then I'll go ahead and just kind of share my details ones. But as I'm sharing the more detailed ones, any questions about this process of collecting your ideas? And this is what mine actually looked like. So you all hit a lot of them. So contact 5 journalists, optimize SEO, run a paid campaign, interview friends, build a website, hire developers, hire a designer to make everything beautiful. Recruit this app sheets one. This is a good one. So I should build an app sheet prototype. I could build that myself, or I could try to find like an intern to do it. That's some ideas. So I need to go find somebody. Write the explanation for the screens, develop the personal survey. Oh yeah, that's a big one. I should actually figure out how is this actually going to work, right? Like what's the actual mechanisms for evaluating somebody's exposure to COVID, right? And then create your bubble. You want to be able to like notify people, make it easy to share via SMS, make it easy to share via email, make it possible for recurring people. expire non-recurring users. So yeah, if I interact with somebody, but after 3 weeks, we can have them expire because if it's just a one-time thing, I don't need to keep track of them. And then this also, I like this idea of protecting people's privacy. So I only need to know the people in my immediate bubble and then anyone I interact with directly. A lot of the apps that were developed by like Google and Apple, it was all about this like secret privacy, kind of track people but don't track people. You know what I mean? It was all very like kind of big social media approaches, versus all I want to know is my immediate bubble and then the people that they interact with. So, all right. Does that sound good? That's our. So this is the whole brain dump. There you go. And like I said, I actually did this. All right. Oh yeah, there's a German Corona app, huh? All right. So now we get into the idea pipeline side of things, right? This is where we actually bring order to the chaos. And the first thing that you do, the idea pipeline is just taking all of these ideas and then putting them into a list so that you can actually prioritize them. So the very first thing we do for our idea pipeline is we list the ideas. And here you go. Let's see, I wonder if I can make that a little more readable. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Ooh. All right, sweet. So that's all I did. I just listed the ideas, right? So here you go. Get friends and family app, run paid ad campaign, optimize website SEO, contact 5 journalists. Get friends, family, test app, run paid ad campaign, optimize SEO, contact 5 journalists. So I just went through and I listed everything, no particular order. I did add this description side of things. So for the ones that could use a bit more information or I know more about it, I kind of want to capture what that is. So get friends and family to test the app. This would be, I'd actually want to share it with 5 friends and family. Running a paid ad campaign, typically costs $2 to $5 per install. So I just added those details there. And the other thing I like to do is, as I'm doing this, is to make sure I list the problem. So how can we make it easy to track the risk to our social bubble? And then our 1-month goal is to demonstrate a viral coefficient greater than 1. Cool. All right. Any questions around just listing your idea pipeline? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. All right, so now we get to do the ICE, and this is the impact, confidence, and ease metrics. And I'm going to warm up your fingers a little bit because I'm going to have you help out with this one as well. So again, impact. This is the impact that the idea will have in meeting your goal. Okay, so there's friends and family. Getting the friends and family to test the app, and then the impact of that from 0 to 10. So all these are 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest impact and 0 or 1 being very, very low impact. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds. I want you to write down a number in the chat. And then when I get down to 0, hit enter, and we'll see what everyone's kind of numbers are on this. So, all right, for impact, 0 to 10, write your number. 3, 2, 1. 5, 6, 7, 9, 8, 8. Cool. All right. 9. I like it. Yeah, that's great. I put this probably a 6. Solid. So anyway, so it's up in the, it's above 5, less than 10. We'll call it a 7. And that, yeah, because, right, getting feedback about the idea, especially if you want it to be a really shareable idea, is really important. But there's other things we have to do before we get there. You don't have to know all that, but you just give it a 7 or, a gut feel. That's great. Now, confidence. Confidence is a little trickier. It's the confidence that you have that the idea will have a positive impact, right? So if you're very confident that is a terrible idea, it would score low, like a 1. If you've done it before and you know that it will have the effect that you want, then it's a 10, right? It has that positive impact. And then you kind of grade it between there. So talking to friends and family, getting feedback on the app in order to meet our goal of getting a viral coefficient greater than 1, how confident are we that that will have that idea will have a positive impact? So again, I'll give you 3 seconds, write a number down in the chat, and then hit enter when I get to 0. So 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 7, 4, nice, 8. Sweet. Cool, I like it. 4, okay, we got some kind of low ones. If this was a workshop, I'd kind of dig more into like why kind of the 4s versus the 8s. I think it's higher than like a 5s, but less than a 10, because you never know, like maybe you talk to the wrong people, or I don't know. So 7, we'll go with 7 on that one. So how about ease? Now ease is pretty straightforward. How easy is it? So 0, it's really easy, really hard. 10, it's really easy, and you don't have to do anything for it. So I'll give you enter a number, give you 3 seconds, then hit enter. So 0 to 10, 3, 2, 1, 0. 9, 5, 7, 8. Yeah. Again, this one, maybe you really don't like talking to people, so maybe it's a little lower. But I think in terms of everything we could be doing, it's probably pretty easy just to talk to your friends and family about the idea you have. Okay. So I want to kind of pull out maybe another example that I think would be good. Here's one. Build an app sheet prototype by myself. So I think the impact of having a actual app that you can actually share and has the core features, even if it's ugly, that could be huge, right? Because I'll be able to answer that question, would somebody share it if they actually share it? So I'd say really high on impact. Building the app, I'm confident that it would have that impact. Maybe that's more like a 7 or 8. But again, I'm pretty confident that being able to test it would answer that question, right? The problem is, though, in terms of ease, I'm not going to do it. There's no way I'm going to do it. I just don't have the time. It's a great idea, but I have too many other things to do. But this recruiting of an intern to build the app, that impact might be lower, right? Because I don't really know what an intern could do or not do. But I think it still would be really impactful. Confidence, again, I'm not as confident because I don't know yet, what that would look like. But the ease is also quite a bit higher, right? There's still tasks related to managing an intern, but you can see now it just kind of totals it up. And building the prototype by myself is probably not a great idea because I'm just probably not going to do it. All right, so that's it. And then you just kind of go through, and again, you kind of do gut checks and prioritize your list. And then the cool part is when you're all done, you'll get a list like this, right? So I actually went through and I listed all this stuff, and you get your totals, and they're out of order, but you can see there's some high ones, a lot of 25s and a couple low ones, and then the other interesting thing is then I just auto sort, and so I sort them from highest to lowest in terms of their total. Let's see, does ease refer to how easy it is to create or how easy it is for the user to utilize? Great question. This is ease of implementing the idea. So ease of you creating it. Right, task dependencies. This is great. And so if you're finding that you have a bunch of really specific tasks and a bunch of really big tasks, you may want to separate that out as 2 exercises, and you kind of want to have the tasks relatively on the same scale, if that makes sense. But for other path dependencies, that actually leads us to our next step. So thanks, Joe. Which is once you auto prioritize, then you actually have to go back and be like, all right, does this auto prioritization make any sense, right? Because what happens with ICE a lot of the times is it confirms what you're already thinking, but then also almost equally, things will rise to the top that maybe you weren't expecting. And so it's a great way to confirm what you're thinking, but also to catch things that maybe you missed. What's more important, weighted heavier, I, C, or E? So personally, I don't weight them. I like to, again, because it's, I want to be fast about my kind of analysis. I give them all equal weight, and it's all 0 to 10, and I sum them. If you want to get a lot more detailed, you can. You could give one more weight or the other, but I end up finding that ends up taking up too much time. It's a little too complicated. Because really what I'm trying to get to is this, now that I have it auto prioritized, I then go through and prioritize it again. But what's cool is you see, like, so in the auto priority, these ones are all 25s. Onboarding, writing my explanation, that came up to the top, but really I need to figure out what is the mechanism, what's my risk survey, and what's my risk criteria first. So I actually brought those up to the top. And then also I had this, recruit this intern. So I have all these features, interview a friend, do the past future thing. But in order to do that, I need to recruit an intern first. So even though this one was 21, I ended up pulling that up to the top as well. So that, because the first thing I need to do is recruit an intern before I can build the features, if that makes sense. So that kind of, I think that's how I handle the task dependencies to some degree. All right. And there we go. And now the cool part about this is we have our problem. How do we make it easy to track the risk to our social bubble? Our goal is to demonstrate a viral coefficient greater than 1. The first thing I need to do is I need to actually develop the risk criteria, develop the personal onboarding exposure, and then probably write these explanation screens. So basically, how does it actually work, and how do I actually talk about it? So it's great, those rows to the top. And then interview a friend. Can I explain this to somebody else? So before I even built anything, does the idea make any sense? And can I communicate the idea to any degree? Then, you see there's kind of another section here, which is recruiting an intern and then building out all these features. Oops. Building out the features. And then doing another test round. So testing it to get friends, family, to get their feedback. And then a bunch of stuff that didn't really make the cut, like optimizing SEO. I mean, that takes a long time, so it's low impact. It's kind of hard to do well. Running Facebook ads. Basically, until I get all this other stuff figured out, the other things are pretty low impact and priority, right? Now, if I had an app and I was up and running, and this is where growth hacking comes in, is maybe running Facebook campaigns would actually be really high on this scale, if in a different in a different product cycle, right? So there we go. So we listed the ideas, we iced them out, we gave them, and then we auto prioritized, and then we reprioritized, and that gives us our list of things to do. So then I started this process, Wednesday, Thursday last week. Is I was like, oh, I should make this presentation for this workshop. Let's come up with an idea. So you can see it can happen pretty quick. I did most of this stuff in just a couple hours, and then when I was on a road trip up to Detroit Lakes this weekend, I came up with the criteria. So this is the survey criteria. My first task: develop the risk criteria. So have you tested positive for COVID? Have you interacted with anyone who's tested positive? Have any of your friends of friends tested positive? And then have you been to a place where someone has tested positive? And this is just to show, like, spreadsheets are a great way to get your initial thinking and prototyping done. And then I did a bunch of sketching. All right, so this is the actual copy. And a lot of this was just, you can see there's messy ideas, and I keep some and lose some other ones. Oops, sorry there. But the thing I want to stress here is that copy is really important in the sketch phase. A lot of people just kind of want to skip over it and draw like squiggly line or lorem ipsum something. It's like, no, now is the time to get your copy, because your designers and developers, they don't write copy. So you have to come up with it. And you can see I drew out this. So what is a social bubble? This is maybe our onboarding screens. A small group who has agreed to socialize only with each other and take the same precautions. I tried to rewrite it, and I said, nope, I don't like that. So screen 2 is the social bubble app makes it easy to track and manage the COVID risk and health status of your bubble. Then it sort of explains, you fill out a survey, how it works. Your first tier are people who interact directly. And then your second tier are people that your friends interact with, right? There you go. And then the cool part is, sorry, I'm zooming around a little too much here. As then I actually had this really great intern Kashif. If I don't know if you made it to the presentation, but if you're here, say hi in the chat. So I actually had an intern who then built this into App Sheets, and there we go. Here we go. Check it out. What is a social bubble? A small group of people who have agreed to socialize only with each other and take the same precautions. Awesome. COVID sphere. So that's the name of it, I guess. How it works. You have your first tier, your second tier, you have your bubble, you get alerted, and you can send alerts to communicate to it. I have my personal profile, and here's, have you tested positive for COVID? No. Has anyone you interacted with tested with COVID? No. Have your friends or friends tested positive? No. Have you been to a place where somebody's tested positive? No. And if I want to edit this, here's my survey. So I can change that to, have I tested positive? Yes. And this updates to tested positive, no known exposure, potential exposure. And there we go. And then I can see my pod, and I can see other people listed. And if I want to add someone, I could add an email here, and then they could be invited there. So there we go. That's the Fast and Furious, and it's 2 o'clock on the dot. So there we go. Yep, and we made that over the weekend. So long weekend, all of that happened. So there you go. That's modern logic for you. We do things fast, but also really well, because now I have this app. I can work on it, and get all the little kinks in the copy. And then, with just an intern and some of my time, we can do that. And then now when we're like, wow, we got, 20, 50 people who are like, this app is great. I want it to be real. Then we can turn on modern logic's big guns and like make a beautiful app. So there we go. And I also wanted to stress, I totally missed this earlier in the presentation, but I am doing these free 2-hour sessions where we kind of go through your customer journey and make your own idea pipeline. So if you liked what you saw here, email me at brian@modernlogic.io, or go to this link, modernlogic.io, Twin Cities Startup Week. And actually, John, could you post this link into the chat as well so everyone has it? Is that only if you do apps? I use this for all sorts of projects. I do all sorts of weird things. I make wizard staffs that shoot fire and flame and fog. So yeah, you can use your customer journey and the idea pipeline for any projects. This one is just an app because it has that rapid prototyping process. Yeah, I think they're all recording. This video is recorded. More on the wizard staffs, please. I know, right? They're hanging up behind me, the flamethrowers. I think that'll have to be another time, though. All right. So any other questions, comments about the customer journey, idea pipeline, and ICE? Those 3 things? All right. Well, I think our time is up. I don't know if it just kind of kicks us out or what happens at the end of this, but that's everything I got. Oh, how often do you revise your customer journey? Great question. Oh yeah, I'll just say thank you, everyone. So anyone who wants to head out, feel free to go. I'll just kind of answer any questions if you want to hang around. So thanks. All right, cool. So how often do you revise the customer journey? As needed is the terrible answer. But usually in making it in your first hour, 45 minutes, you revise it a couple times, and then every time you sort of build something and you get clarity, like, oh, this is actually how it works. Especially after this prototype, I'll probably get this prototype, sit down with some people, try it out, and then build another idea pipeline around features we should have. And in doing that, I'll probably do another customer journey along the way. So, all right. Well, thanks, everybody. Any final questions? And I'll sign off. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you around the Twin Cities digitally. Oh, yeah. All right. Ciao.